for Manchester United. Let's see what their manager thinks of it all. This will be interesting. Here is Erik Ten Hag.
Erik, honestly, today, do you have to say that the best team won?
Today, yeah. I hated to say it, but they were better today. And especially in determination and passion and desire. They wanted to win more than we. And so they won.
Does it hurt you to say that your team lost because they didn't show enough passion, didn't show enough desire?
Yeah, definitely. And I think we had our opportunities, but then you have to go for goal with the determination they did. And by far it was not good enough. And also we allowed them too many chances. So we were in the past, we were better. And therefore you have to be hungry. And you have to give everything, every game. And today they wanted more as we.
What was missing with the attacking play today? You touched on it a little bit there, but it seemed very difficult for you, particularly to get Wout Weghorst into the game at all.
I think our attacking game was not good enough. And I don't want to be focused on one person because it had nothing to do with one person. It was about team performance and that we didn't break them. I think in the first half we had a threat over the right side with Anthony and with Jogo, but over the left side came almost nothing. Yeah, that is the conclusion after this game. And so we didn't create so many good chances. I think the biggest chance was probably for Anton Martial on the equaliser, but yeah, it wasn't good enough.
Did you struggle throughout really to calm their intensity, to quieten their crowd?
We didn't create. I think in the first phase of building up we did quite good. I think we were composed, or we played the long ball over their pressure and then from second ball. But after we come in attacking zones, we create nothing.
Just tell us about how you as manager tried to change the game. You rejigged your midfield a little bit at half-time. You made a double change around about the hour mark, and then you made a really bold change and took both your centre-backs off towards the end.
Yes, we were not happy. I think with we played too high in the midfield, and it was easy for the two centre-halves from Newcastle to go and attack, so defend our midfield players. So they have to play a little bit deeper in some of the other occasion. Therefore, we make the sub or Marcel more as a 10, and then Scott more in a deeper role. Yeah, then we make the change to want more energy and to bring in with Anthony Martial, a player who can link up very good, and bring with Jaden a forward player, hopefully to bring more energy in the team and also keep the ball more. He's a player who's very skillful, and in the end, yeah, we were losing, and then we decided to go with 3 in the back and to bring an extra offensive player with Pellistri in, and then I decided to take both centre halves off and with Victor Lindelof to defend the spaces who you leave when you are with 3 in the back.
But in the end, like you said in your first answer, was today not really a tactical thing? It was passion, it was hunger, it was desire.
I think so, and to both sides, to arrive in the box of the opponent, to get a finish there, and also to avoid switches from them and to defend the box. It's definitely, and I saw with them a desire. They definitely wanted the revenge. They got the revenge. We have to leave it behind. We have to deal with the setback, and for us, just learn from this lesson about desire and passion, and focus on Wednesday and leave that behind.
To hear a Manchester United manager say not enough desire and determination.
I don't really agree with that. I think the effort was there.
Do you?
I do, yeah. It was just the positional sense of the players, really. I think the two midfield players, especially, I know I said before, I think Scott McTominay is a lot better being the one to run forward. But when you go to a tough away ground, especially, you play your position, especially as central midfield. Owen will tell you more than me. You play that position to get a good footing in the game, get a foothold of the game, get it by the scruff of the neck, keep possession, and then you choose your moments when you can get forward. It was so it's almost kamikaze. They were all over the place at times. The amount of times that Newcastle broke right through the midfield, and Sabitza's up the pitch, McTominay's up the pitch, Fernandez is up the pitch, they're all over the place. Anthony wasn't running back helping Darlow. And you heard him there, he said he changed the formation 3 or 4 times. It felt like a bit of a shambles today. It was a really messy game of football. And they never looked like scoring. The amount of times he changed it to try and get an extra forward, as he said, bring Jadon on, try and create something. I never for 1 minute thought they were going to score. Martial had that half chance, I suppose, with the deflection. But other than that, I think that's where United are short. I think they might need to buy 2 forwards, really, who can get up to that 78, I keep saying 70, 80 goal mark to challenge for a league title and challenge for big trophies. You need that. United, well, I don't know if we'll have a look at the goal scoring stats. They're a million miles away from that yet. And I always say the best teams are only as good as your centre forwards. This team at the minute, they look like they're going to concede, but they don't look like they've got enough goals in the team to override that. And I think that's... But you also have to say, that performance it's typical of what they've been like, really. The only thing is, they haven't conceded in them periods, and they've ended up grabbing a goal, grabbing 2 goals, just to go on and win the game when they haven't been great. So, but full credit to Newcastle. I thought Newcastle were really good, but United, it's disappointing. But United have got the best players of there. They've got Casemiro, Eriksen missing. Eriksen's been missing for a while, but them 2 coming into the team, they know the position a lot better than I think those 2 did today.
And on that, Colin, we know that's why the strikers get the most money. I mean, that's out there because they get the goals. But they had 1 shot on target today, which is the lowest of any game in the Premier League.
Disappointing.
This season. And 5 hours nearly without a goal.
Very, very disappointing. I think we touched on it at the start of the show. Marcus wasn't really in the game today. That is your go-to man. So if your go-to man's not in the game, be noticed today. Creativity is not there. If there was chances, which there wasn't, there's no one there to finish him off. And we can't rely on one individual. And might be 2, might be 3 centre forwards, because Manchester United needs to score goals to try and win the Premier League. And I generally do believe we're still a couple of years away from that.
I'd just say that at the start of the season, I said it was almost a waste of time. Teams having Man United having centre forwards because Fred and McTominay was playing in central midfield. It felt like we came back to that today. I think if you've got a forward like Marcus Rashford, you tell him where to go. Do you know what I mean?
And you guide him in areas, don't you?
It's not that difficult. You hit the ball over to touch him, stay on the shoulder of Trippier all day long, and that's when you play your position. When you're up against it all the time and running forward and not playing where you should be, you won't get time on the ball. You've got to find yourself space on the ball. Then it becomes a lot easier. That's when you can hit Marcus. You know he'll go. I'm not sure how you get the best out of Vigos. I don't know. Anthony as well. Look, Anthony seems a one-trick pony to me. He's all left foot. He can cut inside. He's a young lad. He's come over to this country, I know, from Holland, been in Brazil. He needs coaching. I think he needs to add more to his game. He needs to be able to run off the ball better. I think he's quick enough to do it, but he doesn't do it. I think he needs help coaching-wise, and I think you get more out of him.
Go back to Scholes' midfield point. Tell us why McTominay and Sabitzer struggled so much today. Were they not executing what Erik Ten Hag wanted them to do, or were they just playing their natural game that left United open?
Well, I think first of all, it's hard for them. Have they ever played together? You know, as a pair, no. So, and Bruno's an attacker, and to be fair, all 3 of them, I think, actually play the same position. They're all 8. You know, they're not defensive. They're not number 10. They all kind of want to be box to box. But like Scholes, you mentioned, they had no control of the game at any point. When we've seen United be great this season, you had Casemiro, you had Eriksen, and you had Bruno, and they had complete control of the game. And then they could play those forward passes into Marcus, into Martial, and they were brilliant. Today, they didn't protect, and they didn't play killer passes, and they didn't provide any attack, 1 shot on target. You know, so every part of it wasn't there. What Casemiro and Eriksen and those boys provide. So again, it goes back to personnel, it goes back to depth. You know, they don't have the depth when they're missing a couple guys, and it shows blatantly.
Yeah. That's why the midfielders are the second highest played in the team behind the
Scholes, maybe.
3 frustrated former Manchester United greats. Let's get to the elation of a former Newcastle United striker. I know he's cold, Shola Ramiobi, but that performance has warmed you up, surely.
Yeah, definitely. That was, you know, I know that. Listen to the boys there. You know, I think you've got to give credit to Newcastle. You know, listen to Ten Hag there. You know, tactically. They were all over the place, and he was trying to obviously tinker with the team and find ways to trouble Newcastle. But I think what he said there said it all. I think the passion, the noise, and the ability of the fans to get our players on the front foot, I think troubled Manchester United all day, and clearly we're the better side from start to finish.
And perseverance and patience were important today, because everybody thought Newcastle should have been in front shoulder at half-time, but they kept the exact same level, didn't they?
Yeah, listen, when you have a half like that and you don't score, sometimes you're fearful that the other team's going to obviously have a 10, 15, 20-minute spell, but that never came, and that's testament to Eddie and the pressure that he puts on the players to continue to perform at a high level. And I think that from a physical point of view, it just looked like they overran Manchester United players all for the 90 minutes, and ultimately you need to run around, you need to get forward, you need to get in and around Manchester United, because they're good players, and when you do that, especially here at home with the fans, good things can happen. And I thought right from the very start, I think tactically Eddie got that right today in terms of the way he wanted to play, the way he wanted to sort of isolate the full-backs and put pressure on the Manchester United players. And that's one thing we didn't do in the Carabao Cup final, but today I think he learned his lesson, and I thought that he did it brilliantly.
And when we spoke before the game, you mentioned the supporters and the atmosphere. What was it like throughout the game? What was it like at full time? It seemed like a throwback to when you were playing at times, that atmosphere.
Yeah, listen, it's this crowd. When the players put on a show like that, there's nowhere better in the world to play. And it's very hard for teams away, that come here to deal with that, and I think, that there's the reason why we've got such a strong home record this season, a strong defensive record as well, because it's very hard for teams to come up here and play with that intensity that the crowd brings, the intensity that the players bring to the game. And I think, it's both the fans, and there's a synergy here this season, and I think that's what makes it so difficult for opposing teams to win up here.
Sure, I don't think anybody before the season could have anticipated Champions League football. You know what it's like with Newcastle. After that performance, against a team that was in a position like Manchester United, you think now all the players have believed that actually Champions League is a genuine chance?
Yeah, listen, I think ever since Eddie came here, to the last season, especially at home, there's been a quiet confidence. I've seen it within the squad. Obviously, to put it together for a whole season is something else. But there's a real chance for us now to really be, and that game was, like I said before, was a huge one for psychology, for the players, for the fans, for the the whole place to know that we can mix it with the big boys. Manchester United are a good side. Yes, they were poor today, but they're a good side, and that just gives us a little bit more belief to know that, listen, we can do this. And it's still going to be difficult because we know there's obviously good teams around us, but it's just that sense of confidence that these sort of games bring that can hopefully propel us to that Champions League space at the end of the season.
Brilliant to have you with us, Scholes. Enjoy the evening.
Don't worry, I will.
I know. Keep smiling. Shola Ramiobi with that big smile on his face. The Manchester United players certainly aren't smiling. Here's some reaction from Luke Shaw.
Thoughts on the performance that, as a group, you've given this afternoon?
Not good enough. I feel like every time I speak after games, bad results, I'm always honest. And I think us as a team, we have to be honest. I do think Newcastle are a very good side, but I don't think they won the game on quality today. I think they won it on passion, hunger, desire, attitude, and they were clearly had that higher motivation than we are, and that can't be possible. I feel like I say the same things every time we lose, and like I said, it's not acceptable, and we know that. It was a massive game today, and they wanted it more, and at Man United that cannot be possible.
Your manager's just been in and said very similar things. That is painful to say, isn't it? That a team's beaten you not because they're better, because they wanted it more.
Yeah, no, it is, and that's why I say I think it's unacceptable. I think we can all admit that. It's not what we want to set out to be. I think in big games like this, you need that motivation, you need that passion, hunger, attitude, because it's an extremely tough place to come to here, and you know, if we don't have that, we're going to suffer. And you know, it was obvious on the pitch. We didn't create too much, to be honest. And I think maybe you can say it's been coming before the international break. We had dropped levels, and you know, it was clear to see today them levels are not there, and we have 3 days or to pick it back up, because Brentford's going to be a very tough game.
So is it time for some home truths in that dressing room? I'm not talking about the manager, the things you're saying to me now, do they need saying among the group?
Yeah, I'm not going to go too much into that, but
it's been said maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I think the players had a chat in the change room after with no staff around, because it's ultimately it's down to us as players on that pitch, and like I said, it was nowhere near good enough, and we had to speak out in front of each other, and own up to it.
So Luke Shaw disagrees with you. He thinks it was the players. Not acceptable, not good enough, attitude.
I don't know Alisson and Luke Shaw. It's the same thing every time after a bad game. He always seems to be the one. It was lack of effort, it was lack of desire.
But you honestly don't think that?
I don't think it was. I just thought it was pure quality. I couldn't look at a player and say he didn't try. Anthony possibly didn't run back, but he never runs back. That's just the way he plays. I thought the effort was there. I thought they ran about. I thought they tried.
They were just second best, weren't they?
They were second best.
They were late to everything.
They were
Newcastle had more
outplayed
today.
They were outplayed by a more organised, better team.
Yeah.
I don't think they were outworked. Now, he might talk for himself there, I don't know. But if I was another player in the dressing room and didn't agree with him, I think he'd have to be told.
Different dressing room, mate. Totally different dressing room.
Where's the captain?
Who was it? Bruno.
Bruno. Why is he coming out? Every time there's a bad result, I tell you, they wheel him out, and he comes out with that same. I tell you, you can watch on the 5 interviews of when they've lost games. Be exactly the same.
I don't think he's overly keen
that.
to keep doing it, Scholes, to be fair.
But he looks like he enjoys it.
No, I don't think he was overly keen to do that one.
Every single time he comes out with that. Say before the game, say, look, don't get beat against these. Don't let these work harder on us.
But the one thing he did touch on, and we have mentioned, I think levels have dropped. I mean, if you look at some of our results previously,
levels of performance and quality, I agree with that, but he didn't say that. He said effort.
He said effort,
he said passion, hunger,
he did mention levels
effort
as well.
And attitude.
I mean, levels, yeah, because Man United, and we've said it, they've not played as well as they could have played or should have played.
So,
but if you look at the results previously...
Scholes was happy with the attitude today, were you?
I'm not... The attitude today, I'm not going to sit and say no one ran around, because they did do. They was beaten by a better team. And that's what some people fail to understand. If you're beaten by a better team, come out and say you're beaten by a better team. Today, Newcastle were the better team.
From the first minute.
Right. Nothing to do with passion, effort and all that.
So why is he mentioning all that then?
It's easy to say that.
Yeah, it's like a...
Why did he come out and say, Scott weren't good enough today? His play on the ball wasn't good enough. Sabitzer's quality wasn't good as well. Rafael Varane wasn't good enough today. Didn't defend well enough. Darlow got targets on the back post. It's easy to come out and say they beat us for effort. They didn't. They beat us because they were better players than us today.
I think they say that because they think that's what people want to hear when you've underperformed. So they think, right, I'm going to get out in front of it and say, oh, we were second best, or I'm with Scholes. I don't think they didn't compete. I just thought they were outplayed from the off.
They was beaten by a better team.
Yeah, better team, better organised, better on the ball, better pressing. Virtually better in every phase. Better
created chances,
so
scored goals.
That's the best defensive team in the Premier League, Newcastle. But they look like a really good attacking team today. United had one shot. How many did Newcastle have? 22? So, in a way, almost every phase. I don't think it's just work ethic. They were just... Sir Alex used to say, didn't he? Get to the ball quickly. Be first to second balls. Win second balls. You win second balls, that's where you get turnovers of possession. You play forward quickly to Scholesy and to Coley. United didn't have anything in transition. Scholesy mentioned United were open from the first half. In transition, Saint-Maximin was running down he was like one of the flying owls, wasn't he, in the first half? So.
Yeah, exactly. And when you play a team like Newcastle, obviously we've been there, we played there. If you get hold of the ball and turn it, just keep turning it, get a foothold. Scholes, touching it, you get a foothold. Get Marcus involved in the game, doing what he's good at, you know what I mean? And then he creates chances, then it goes from there. If you look at Man United today, Marcus was never in the game. No. And he's Man United's best player. So if you can't get him involved, who are you going to get involved?
You have to use your brain in games sometimes. Yeah. You use your strengths. Your strengths are Marcus running behind in forward areas. I think Luke Shaw, I think he's criticised his teammates wrongly. I'd be fuming, I think Cole, I think we'd all be fuming if he'd come out and said that about it, questioning the effort of his teammates. if he's questioning the effort of his teammates, I hope he did it in the dressing room. I'd be surprised if he did, to be honest with you. If he's talking about effort, I think he can only be talking about himself. Because I think he's one of the best left-backs around, Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
He's the one that so many times who carries the ball up the pitch for Manchester United so quickly. I can't remember him being in there after today. You know, where was he? So before you start questioning the rest of your teammates and what they're doing, look at yourself. And I think them comments come from the way he felt today.
Eddie Howe, live from St James's Park. You know that not every manager that's gone up there has got the area, got the club, got the ethos. He's got it from day one.
He has. He's got the team playing. He's got the team not just playing for himself, but playing for the fans as well, putting in a shift. And I mentioned beforehand, you got a Newcastle, you put in a shift, you give everything you've got. The fans will absolutely adore you. And where they're at now, they're showing it.
Let's have a look at these goals that Eddie Howe's team scored today, and of course Manchester United conceded. The first one, and he's talked about perseverance and patience, it was coming. We all said that at the time.
Yeah, it was. They've been dominant, hasn't they? David obviously made a couple of really good saves in that first. And look, I'm sure Owen will go through the goal in a minute. There's a lot of mistakes in this goal, and again overloading that far post where they felt Darlow was weak, and Maximum, he heads it back, and Willock, there he is gambling from the midfield and manages to put it away.
Yeah, plenty to pick out from a Manchester United point of view there, Owen.
Yeah, well, before the game we spoke about how Man United going to do without Casemiro. We saw at the start of the season how they did, not well. And today was a little example of possibly how they're going to perform without him. We've got the goal obviously in the touch, and we'll just run through it. And the reason the goal happens is basically in the position where you would see Casemiro. So that is Sabitzer and Guimaraes together there, and he's with him. You know, he's with him in these key moments. He keeps running with him, keeps running with him. He's got him there, and he's got him there. But just watch what happens when the ball goes inside. He just gets caught ball watching. And when you get caught ball watching there, you're in trouble. And credit Guimaraes, by the way. He knows, look, I'm in there, the space is there. And these two, and you can just see Sabitzer, he's ball watching. Luke Shaw's ball watching. Luke Shaw scores, he probably could be a little bit side on. But you think about Casemiro in that moment, he just has a feel for that moment. You're not running beyond him there. And that's where the goal comes from. Obviously, they're getting behind. Great little dink across. Scholes, he mentioned, overloaded the back post. A lot wrong with it, but that probably for me was the most important moment. Casemiro would be there. Sabitzer stepped in a moment when they needed him. He wasn't there in a decisive moment.
I think the decisive moment there is Sabitzer taking his eye off Guimaraes. As soon as the ball goes inside, he should still be looking at him. Yeah. Where is he? Where is he? And the ball's inside. He carries on. He does actually have a tiny look, and then realise he's in trouble. It's too late.
He actually looks the wrong way.
He looks to his left.
He had a tiny little glimpse and thought, oh no, I'm done. Then he's hoping then that Luke Shaw could possibly be the one to fill in and stop that. But Luke Shaw's got a problem because he's got Isak who's in that position who could have a free shot at goal. So Luke Shaw gets lost and he has to go almost half and half and does nothing. And he ends up passing inside him and Sabitzer's too late.
Do players, when you've got someone as good as Casemiro in that situation, psychologically think sometimes he's not there? Do I have to go and do some more? Like Luke Shaw's doing that?
I genuinely believe so, because they're so used to him now. He sniffs danger. So him not being in the team, I think they're saying to themselves, right, he's not there, right, I'm going to have to go, I've got to step out. And if you look at defenders, they don't want to step out. So Luke there, in that position he finds himself in, he doesn't really want to step out, but he knows he's got to go. By the time he goes, he reverses the pass and he's in.
OK, and just on Casemiro, 8 games they've played without him in the Premier League. They've lost 4 and drawn 1, and only won 3.
But we spoke about it before the game, depth. You know, do United have the depth that, say, the top teams have? Today's a good example of that. Even when team sheets came out, we said, you know, a little bit, we'll take a point. And to be fair, if anything, it just shows you that without Casemiro, without Eriksen, without those, you know, the top guys, United don't have the depth to compete with the top teams.
And Andy, for the second goal, defensive organisation again. Yeah,
the boys were saying it's zonal marking. I'm not a big fan of zonal marking. I think, pick up a man. You know who your man is, and then we go from there. But if you look at the position Wilson finds himself in there, he's dropped his shoulder about 3 or 4 times. And Marcus doesn't know where he is. When the ball comes over Marcus, he ducks his head a little bit. Wilson's got a free header. It's 2-0. You've got to, in that time, you've got to give everything to try and clear that ball.
Yeah, I mean, look, they got one of the best set-piece takers in the Premier League. I think Trippier's got, with that, he's got the most assists from set pieces. But if you think about who's going to score, Callum Wilson there, how on earth, he's 1v5. How on earth does he score in there? The one thing that surprises me from a personnel standpoint, Scholes, you might know why, he's got Bruno at the near post, not a good header of the ball.
No.
Then he's got Martial, and then he's got Marcus Rashford. Why would you have three guys that aren't really great headers of the ball in a position where they need to head it?
The only thing I would say, he took Martinez and Varane off at that point. They could possibly be two replacements for them, and that might have messed up the whole organisation of the set pieces. But look at that situation there. How can Callum Wilson get a free header there? Like, when I say that, I actually thought it was brilliant centre-forward play. So if you have a look in a minute, he does actually shove his arms out to Marcus Rashford.
We're going to run it slowly because, Coley, you can explain what he's doing, because basically Martial and Rashford, they're all just stood still. But
they are. But if you look at Wilson, like I said...
We got him there, yeah, highlighted. But just going to run it slow. Watch how many times he moves.
Is it 3-4 times? 4.
Watch how many times he moves.
So he's gone
1, 2, 3, 4. Marcus doesn't move once. Just that little... You know, just those moves alone creates that. It just creates that little separation, doesn't it?
Think of them 4 players there, though, Coley. You've got Martial, Bruno, Rashford, and Lindelof. Lindelof's the only centre half who can head a ball.
Which he should be in front of.
Oh my God!
But that's what I don't understand personnel-wise.
And he's looking right. He's looking right at Wilson. He says, "Right, he's my man. There's no way he's scoring." Right. The other 3 you can understand because they're forwards and they don't want to be there, do they?
But you've got to still do your job.
Well, yeah, of course they have, but they don't want to be there. Lindelof, knows the job and should be able to do the job, and he allows that to happen.
Yeah, we run it in one more time. It's just, he just shouldn't score.
Yeah, it's bad defending. It's bad defending. And if you look, we're not here to have a guy anybody.
No.
But if you look at Marcus' position, at no stage does he know anyone's behind him. Because if you pull it back in and have a look, he doesn't know Wilson's behind him. Because he's never actually looked to say, right, he's behind me.
Well, he says it's not a natural thing for a forward, but you've been in that situation, you know what you've got to do.
You've got to defend. You're 1-0 down, you try to keep yourself in the game. I mean, so if you could try to keep yourself in the game, you've got to know what's around you, because you're trying to say, right, if we can get it away, counter-attack, whatever. But you've got to keep yourself in the game.
On the other hand, Stephen, as you as a centre-forward caller, you'd be so happy with scoring that type of goal.
Oh, 100%.
It's absolutely brilliant centre-forward play at the same time.
You wouldn't have been there as, like, you played like Bruno, didn't you, same position. I always defended at the near post, the first man. We never really had centre-forwards and number 10s.
No.
At the near post, did we?
That's where I think the organisation might have gone awry, because Varane and Martin is up. And how many times do you see two centre-halves come off?
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Position maintenant. Alors que se passe-t-il? Le buteur Hakim Ziyech est resté au sol.